During the time of King Herod, Magi from the east arrived in Jerusalem, too, asking, "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star in the east and have come to worship him." My father was a traditional chief of the village. My mother was a daughter of the chief of the village. This was my deadly biological line. My parents loved me. However, they gave me the name of my grandfather, who was a mysterious man. Grandfather had supernatural capacity. Upon uttering mysterious shout, my grandfather moved from one place to another. He could punch a tree to dry it. He was killing animal in the forest by shooting the tree instead of the animal that was on the tree. Often we went hunting in the forest and fishing. In order to kill animal and catch fish, he often shoot arrows in the air and the arrows landed on the animals on the land or a fish in the water, and he would send me to go get the animal and the fish, and when I would check I found the animal that has been reached and killed by his arrows. This is the kind of man whose name I had to carry, and his name had an effect on me. Moreover, when I was still a baby, my parents said this baby boy must become a man, and they washed me with a gorilla bone. And when she was washing me, my mother began to utter words and declaration. She said, "No boy in the village will be able to beat my son. A boy born of a woman will never have an upper hand in battle against him." As a result, throughout my childhood and development I became a delinquent boy fighting in the street. In this village, a man known as Crocodile Man has sacrificed his own child's destiny and star. This is in order to become a successful fisherman. As a result of this sacrifice, the child had become disabled, but the man has become successful in the fish industry because he always catch a great quantity of fish. It was a village deep in superstition. One day my brother was going out of the compound. In his great surprise, he saw in the street our late grandfather coming towards him. My late grandfather was accompanied by our late uncle and late grandmother. My brother said to the late granddad, "I don't know you, but you look like our father." The late grandfather replied to him, "I'm your late grandfather, you don't know me. Are you sure that the whole family is fine? We have come because we want you to become a traditional healer. We will give you power to heal and solve people issues in the village." When my mother heard my brother saying that he saw our late grandfather in the street asking him to become a native doctor, she screamed and said, "No way, it will not happen." At that moment my brother fell to the ground in trance, and the three revenant that he saw began to speak in his mouth. They told my mum, "We just want him to be a traditional healer, there is nothing wrong." My mother said, "No, it will never happen." My mother rushed to the bush, cut some grass and put them on my brother's mouth, and my brother came back to himself. In our village, often during childhood, I woke up in the night to go out to pee. One night I woke up in order to go to pee. To my surprise, I saw my late grandmother who died many years ago. She was sitting on the pavement of our house. She said, "Don't worry, I am protecting all of you." I ignored her and went to pee and came back inside the house to sleep. This was a physical encounter. In the village my father was about to be crowned chief. As a result, he began to experience attack and challenge from the witches. One day he was driving us in the boulevard in great speed. Inside the lorry I was with my mother, brother and dad was driving. The speed was so great that the lorry went off the boulevard and jumped from the bridge and was falling into the river. I mean, when the lorry was falling and was about to touch the water, in a split second my father uttered a mysterious word. As a result, everybody that was inside the lorry, we all found ourselves standing above the bridge on the road, observing the empty lorry falling into the river and sinking in the water. My father smiled and said, "One of these leaders is testing my power, but he is inferior to me." My father even quoted the name of the witch that is responsible for this incident. These witches have been trying hard, attacking and testing driver, and many have died. However, despite all the attack and test, my father came out unscathed. As a result, he was enthroned as traditional leader in Gombolo sector. On that day a leopard was killed in a ritual where women were dancing in an ancestral ceremony. They cut the leopard and my father was dressed with the skin of the leopard, and he wore a necklace with the teeth of the leopard. There came a time where my sister was having chronic sickness. She could not go to school for a long time, and she missed a school year, but the sickness was not stopping. My mother went to visit a fetish man to heal my sister. This was a powerful native doctor that was consulted by politician and great leader. My mother told him, My child is suffering from sickness. I have done what I could but there is no result. Many children are dying in the village just like that. I need protection for my children. At that time I had a friend of mine but we were fighting a lot, and his parent did not like him to play with me but that did not stop our friendship. We were both born on Sunday and people called us the Dominican. One day my friend got sick, he was taken to the hospital and died just like that. Since children were dying my mother asked the protection from the witch. The fetishist took a piece of cloth with which he placed herb and we were all supposed to wear these piece of cloth on the hip as protection. We were told we should never take it off. However, when I woke up in the morning I could not find it on my hip, yet everybody in the family had their cloth of protection on the hip. My mother called the fetishist and he paid him again to redo the ritual and I obtained a new piece of cloth for protection, that I wore on the hip. But when I woke up the following day in the morning, the cloth of protection has disappeared. The native doctor told my mother, "There is nothing I can do for him because he has another spirit." I said, "Other children have protection but I am just like this. This means I will die because children are dying." Fear gripped me. Many days later when I saw that I was not dying, I said I must be a spirit, and I have another spirit. I began to confess I will not die because I have another spirit. The Lord was keeping me away from strange power. When you belong to the Lord, even if you are an unbeliever, His eyes will be upon you, keeping you and delivering you because you belong to Him. I was a child when my parent died, was adopted by a Catholic of the local parish. When I was still living in Covent, I traveled to visit my family, and on my way back, I was sent to the biggest Catholic mission in Barringer at the parish of Father Macbeth. We were traveling through the river and we were in the middle when the boat broke down. The weather was terrible. There was rain and strong wind, and the wave in the river was coming towards our boat. The conductor placed his hand on the head and said, "It is over for us, brother." We were in the middle of the river. The wave was coming and everybody was crying, when suddenly I saw a figure that appeared to me. I saw him with my eyes open because it was not a dream. He told me, "Fear not, Joshua, tell them no one will die in this boat." The wave came and hit the boat that was filled with water. People were looking for barrel for we were surely sinking. The wave came for the second time and banged the boat that was filled more water. We were hit 3 times but the word of the Lord was fulfilled and no one lost his life. One day we were playing in the village with many kids. We were plunging to the bottom of the river. The winner was supposed to come out of water with the sand of the bottom as a proof. In the village we knew that crocodile and hippopotamus did not pose a danger to human, because they run away from human, unless your wife had delivered the baby or is pregnant. The crocodile who attack people in the river were men crocodile. I mean they were witches in the shape of crocodile. Normal crocodile don't attack human just like that. Many fishermen in the region were turning to crocodile to attack innocent. They are the ones who attacked people in the village. We were playing and descending to the bottom of the river and the winner was coming out with sand of the bottom of the river. On that day there were 27 kids playing but when the game was over we saw that one of us was missing. We came to the conclusion that he was drowned. When the village learned the news everybody came to river, and the family of the drowned kid brought a fetishist. This native doctor took some herbs from the tree and stepped in the water. He was crushing the herb with his hand and speaking word. He was recouping liquid from the herb that he was crushing, and he said to the principality, "If the river, this is our child. If this village has committed an offense you can keep the child, but if the village is innocent give us back our child." He dropped the liquid from the herb to the river. 4 minutes later, a huge crocodile came out of the river holding the child and he threw him on the ground and returned to the river. The crocodile was actually a fisherman. The Lord delivered us when we are still unbeliever and when we did not know Him. There are people that have God's sign and symbol and He keep them even if they don't know Him. He spare them. The Lord said to me, "I am only in 15% of my ministry. There are rules and instruction I have to put into practice for the remaining 85%. The world has not spoken about this ministry but they will speak. There are instruction and rules that I have to apply,